In this episode, we're talking about why coaches fail and hopefully what you can do about it so that you're not one of them. Many coaches are passionate, they're skilled, they're trained, and yet they still can't build a sustainable business. The real problem isn't coaching skill, it's what they believe about business. So if you're helping people but you're still struggling to make ends meet, you might not have a coaching problem, it might just be a business model problem. Let's dive right in. Most coaches stay stuck in a self-employment trap. So they have the skills, they open their doors for business, but they're self-employed. They don't actually have experience in building a business or what that looks like. Now, a book that I'm going to recommend right off the bat, you might have heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he has another book called The Cash Flow Quadrant. If you read those two books, you'll really understand the difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. So when you first start out as a coach, you're now self-employed, but you don't yet have a business. Now, even me, I'm not 100% a business owner. It's pretty rare to be 100% a business owner, but it's okay to be somewhere in between. Some of the time you're spending as self-employed, and the other time you're spending as being a business owner. If 100% of your time is spent being self-employed, you're really going to struggle. You're going to be paycheck to paycheck. You're going to have ups and downs. You might have a good month, but you're going to have a rough month, and you're always going to be starting over. Now, part of the reason that you're going to struggle is because you're selling hourly coaching. So whether it's a coaching package or just 1 hour, right? You might have a 12-week coaching program and they come back every month and you think, well, that's a package, that's not hourly. Well, the way that you determine the price is it's like 12 hours. If it's $100 an hour, it's a $1,200 package. Or if it's $150 an hour, it's an $1,800 package. And your clients, your customers, they're going to do the math, and that's how they're going to see it. They're going to see this hourly thing. And if you want to make more revenue, you've just got to work more hours. And so there's always a ceiling. You're always capped with how much money you can make based on your hours and how much you charge per hour. And the third challenge you're going to have in this self-employment trap is you're going to be wearing every hat. No matter whether you're a small business or a large business, you have to wear multiple hats. So for example, who does the bookkeeping? Who does the invoicing? Who is the custodian? Who does the marketing? Who does the customer service? Who does the coaching? Who does the follow-up? Who manages the website, right? So there's a lot of different hats that you're going to be wearing, and you got to take one hat off and put another one on and keep changing positions. So when we talk about are you self-employed or a business owner, what a business owner will do is they'll take one of those hats and either hire somebody else to wear that hat, or a company or a service, or we'll buy a software that will do it, or we'll create some type of system or automation. So when you've heard the phrase, are you working in your business or working on it? If you take a step outside of the task and create some type of system or training or program or way that you can work on that business to actually build a system, because a business itself will run independently of you. You can be a business owner and not work in it. So let me give you an example. Let's say I was a dentist, and the funny thing is that was my original career path. So glad I'm not a dentist. Sorry to all you dentists out there. But if all day I'm drilling and filling the teeth, then I'm in self-employed mode. I'm in business mode or working on my business if I can train others. So if I hire a dental hygienist, or if I hire another dentist, or if I'm working on some marketing campaign. Now, if I'm regularly working on marketing, I'm still working in my business, but if I'm developing a new system, then I can train somebody else to run it. Or if I'm working with a marketing company, so I'm just enlisting them to run my marketing for me, then that's when I'm a business owner. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk about another big issue with coaches and why many coaches are struggling, okay? And that is coaching itself, you're not offering advice. So you have a methodology, and the methodology is valuable. It's awesome. You're asking questions, you're providing accountability, and so you can help people get great results. The challenge is, though, it's really hard to translate the coaching that you're doing into a result if you don't have any claim to expertise, if you don't have any advice to share. So there's coaching where you share no advice, and there's consulting where that's what you do, you share advice. Most people consider coaching and consulting to be the exact same thing, but yet they're kind of opposites. No advice versus advice. And the more advice you can share, the more valuable your services are, the more people are willing to pay for it, and the easier it is to sell. So I'm not suggesting that you don't coach and that you only consult. I'm suggesting that you do both. What are you an expert in? And of all the people that you coach, what's the most consistent result that you're helping them to get? That's what you need to quantify. That's what you need to hone in on and realize, I am an expert at helping people get that result. So you can take people in other scenarios, you have the skills, you could coach people in all walks of life, but you're really good at helping people get this result. And you can claim that as your expertise, and you can give advice. You can share what other people have done. One person might have taken 100 steps to get there, but then you implemented something and then it took 50 steps. So the next person, they might want to do it in 50 steps instead of 100, and you can actually give them advice on what they can do to shortcut that and only do it in 50 steps. Now, when you start thinking like a business owner, let's say I've accomplished something awesome. I was at point A and I made it to point B. I figured out a whole bunch of steps to get there. Now, it's a whole different experience to be able to take somebody else that's at point A to be able to have them get to point B, because there was a lot that I would have learned, a lot of things that I would have tried and failed. There's a lot of growth and development along the way. So how do you do that for somebody, right? Well, it's possible. That's the difference between just giving advice and actually holding their hand and leading them to a result. So working on your business would look like, how do I help people take those steps? What can I do here? Does it start with an assessment and figuring things out and then giving them an assignment and holding them accountable? What about this process here? Or what about this tool that I use here? So you've got to create the system, the pathway, the steps for somebody to go from point A to point B. Because otherwise we can say, well, this is the goal out there. Let's do some coaching today. And if that's all you offer, then you're not really going to ever charge more than 50 to 150 per hour for that. But if you can lead people to a result, it's very common for that to be $1,000 per hour type work, but you're never going to charge it that way. Let me give you another example. So let's say a therapist, they are really good at helping people overcome arachnophobia. If they're selling by the hour, they would say, yeah, it's 150 per hour. Let's do a session every Friday. How's that sound? Yeah, that sounds good. So people will add up the math and just think, okay, that's like $600 a month. I wonder how many months this is going to take. So they might jump into it, but after a while, they're like, man, this money is adding up. But on the other hand, what if I was that therapist? Let's say I'd helped 100 people overcome arachnophobia. So I'm talking to a brand new client. They're totally afraid of spiders. And I say, I've helped 100 people follow the exact same path, and now they can all hold tarantulas in their hand. They're just fine. They've overcome arachnophobia. My program is $5,000. I'll take you on the exact same path and help you get there. They're going to say, you know, if this is really important to them, they'll be like, yeah, I can understand what that result is. I'm willing to pay for that result, and they'll judge in their minds whether they want to pay $5,000 or not. So I just made up that example, but you can apply it to your situation. What is the result that you can provide? What is that worth to people? So instead of them dividing it out by hours and trying to figure that out, they're really going to be looking at that result and either pay or not pay if it's worth it to them. The other area that I want to have you look at is, how do you bring in your clients? And when new people find you, how do they see you? Did they see you as the subject matter expert, right? And I know, in the world of coaching, you don't give advice, okay? So you're going to have to reprogram that a little bit. When you're coaching, you don't give advice, but when you're consulting, you do give advice. I mean, think about all the different coaches you know or the colleagues that you have. Which of these coaches have the most successful business? Which ones have the biggest revenue? Which ones have the most consistency in their revenue? And it's those that are consultants as well, those that have expertise. Now, there's a pathway to getting there, okay? I can help you be a subject matter expert. So what this looks like is when people go to Google or YouTube or they're on ChatGPT and they're researching stuff, they're trying to overcome their problem, they're trying to figure out how to accomplish their goal. What if you were recommended at the top, right? On YouTube, you're ranking at the top, you're the very top video, or on Google, you're the top recommendation, you're the answer that's provided, or when people are on ChatGPT, ChatGPT saying, you need to watch this person's video, or you need to go to this person's website, look into this person, they can help you. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, that's the strategy that I teach. It's called the LEAF strategy. It's how you as a coach or a consultant can really position yourself as the go-to authority in your space. I'd love for you to learn what this strategy is. I teach a free webinar. Go to theleafstrategy.com. This will be a live webinar with me. I do one per week. I'd love to see you there, theleafstrategy.com.